Okay, so today we're continuing with what we did last week when we talked about logs. So all the same rules apply. Okay, all the same rules apply for that we talked about last week with logs, right? Um, I put it on the board again. I made it smaller though, the log form and exponent form, right? So all of those same things apply. The only difference is today we're introducing what's called a natural log. A natural log is a special type of log. Okay, it's a regular log, but has a special base. Base is e. E. Okay, so we talked about e. I think last week we had this guy when we talked about compound interest. When it's compounded continuously, we used e. Right? We used e. E is about 2.71828. It goes on forever and ever and ever, but that's the when we used it there. That is the same number we're going to be using today. That the only difference is today it's the base. So natural log, you'll see this ln. Ln, what does ln mean? It means natural log. I don't know why it's ln instead of nl for natural log. I have no idea why, but it is on your calculator. Okay, if you notice right by the log button on any calculator, any scientific calculator, ln is always on there. Okay, so it's nice. It's nice because you always have that button to use on your calculator. Okay. Okay, so um, it follows the same rules as regular logs. It still has the same parts. It still has a base. It still has an answer. Still has an exponent. It can be changed to an exponent. Okay. The only difference is they leave out some parts. Instead of saying log with a base of e, they just say natural log. So when you're doing, like for example, number one, rewrite it. First thing is, I would tell you, especially if you're not sure what to do, rewrite it. This part here means this. It means a log with a base of e. It's the same thing. It means the same exact thing. And then what's next to it is the answer still. So this is still the answer. And we're still looking for a missing part, just like we did last week. Okay, like we did last week. We're still looking for a missing part. So once you do that, change it to an exponent. Okay, change it to an exponent. So use the color coding system, the blues, the blue, the red, or the green. You can use the color coding system, or you can use the loop trick, right? The loop trick that we did, that works as well. Either way, what this means is e to what power makes e? That's what it's asking. That's what this question is asking. So what power is it going to be? E to what power makes e? Not zero, because that would make it a one. If this was a one, you'd be right. E to what power makes e, right? If you just want it to stay the same, the power is always going to be one, right? Okay. The second one, rewrite this. Rewrite it instead of ln, rewrite it so it looks like this. Okay. And then what comes next to that is the answer. So this is the answer, e to the sixth. And then that's the missing part there, right? It's the same thing we talked about last week when we did the two cahoots, when you did the notes, when we did everything, when we did the war, when we played the card game war last week. They were just like this. They were exactly like this. Okay. So now we have to go e to what power makes that answer? E to what power makes this answer? Six, right? Once you write it like that, it's pretty obvious what the answer is. But I'll get a lot of students that I'm stuck. I don't know what to do. Start with writing it as a log. Write it as a log with the word log. I'm going to get this question a lot. I know I will. The first thing I'm going to tell you is anytime you're dealing with a natural log, change it to a regular log with a base of e. Because once you do that, then hopefully you kind of start going, oh, okay, so I'm going to change it to an exponent, and then from there, that's what you do. That's how you solve it, okay? Letter C, same thing. Changing this to what it means. That's what it means, okay? The next part is the answer. So when I say rewrite it, this is the process I'm talking about. Rewrite. Rewrite. Rewrite it so it makes more sense to you. If it doesn't make sense to you, rewrite it so it does make sense to you. Okay? So now what we're doing is we're figuring out e is our base. E to what power makes that guy? E to what power makes this guy right here? -2, yeah, not +2 because it's got to be flipped first, right? So to flip it, we need a negative power. And then I know I need a power of 2, -2. Okay. All right, let's do the next one. First thing, change natural log to log base of e. Change it. The next part is the answer part. And I need the exponent. That's what the question is asking, right? They're asking for what is the value, okay? So they're asking me for the green part. The green part, if you can see on the board, that's the exponent part, okay? So then I'm going to change it to a exponent, base, exponent, answer, okay? E to what power makes that? So yeah, so how do we change a root and a power to an exponent? The top is the, oops. So if I have this guy here, it's going to be a fraction power. What's the top? 2 the power. The bottom is the root. So this answer is 2/3. The answer is the power, 2/3. Okay. All right, so I want you to do letter E on your own. Do letter E on your own right now. I'll give you about 30 seconds to do that one. Change it to a log. Use the loop trick or use the color coding system over there, blues, reds, and greens, to change it, and then figure out what you're missing. Okay, change it to a log with an actual base instead of natural log ln. Okay, so we got e to what power makes 1 over e. That's what we got to figure out. E to what power makes 1 over e. So what power just flips? Just flips. That's all it does. What is the power that is just going to flip? -1. Yep. -1 is the power that flips. It doesn't do anything but flip. Okay. All right. Okay, that is natural logs. Okay. So you're going to see those a lot. Now, the inside of your notes is, the first thing is we have 3 properties. They're written on the board. If you could, in the class, you could see them. They're written on the board. I'm just going to write them in here. Okay, but you can write them on the board because they're just written right there on the board. So the first one is the product. Product. So we have 2 sides to this. You have a condensed side and you have a expanded side. Okay, so for product property, over here is the condensed side. It's condensed. Condensed means make it smaller. Anything you condense, make it smaller. This side over here is the expanded side. Make it bigger, make it longer, expand it, expand on that. When someone says expand on that, that means make it wide, bigger, right? So this is the expanded side, expansion. This is the condensed side, okay? That's for product property. And you notice on the condensed side, we have multiplication, but on the expanded side, I have no multiplication. There's a plus there, okay? Quotient property. Quotient property, very similar, just with different signs. So instead of multiplication on one side, you have division. And instead of addition on the other side, you have subtraction. Okay? But other than that, it's exactly the same. So you have subtraction over here, and you have division over here. So again, this is the condensed side, because it's only got one log. It says one log. Over here is the expanded side. I have multiple logs. I have a log here and a log there, right? That's how you can tell it's expanded. If there's multiple logs, it's expanded. If it's only one, it's condensed. So when we have division on the condensed side, that means subtraction on the expanded side, and vice versa. We have subtraction on the expanded side. If we want to condense, we need to divide, because they're going to ask you two things to do today. They're going to say condense it or expand it. Okay, those are the two things they're going to ask you to do. That's it. They're just going to say condense it or expand it. And the last one is power. Power property. Okay, so this one we have a power, an exponent. Okay. On the expanded side, the exponent, there is no exponent. Oops, it should be m. Sorry. Let's see. That should be an n. There you go. Okay, just like it is on the board. Okay. So if you notice on the expanded side, there is no exponent. It's in front. On the condensed side, there is an exponent. Okay. So if they ask us to condense, we start on this side over here. We start on this side over here and go this way. If they want us to expand, we start on this side over here and go that way. So you're doing the same steps, just in opposite directions. Like if you drive to school from your house, you back up from your driveway and then you go down the street, right? When you drive into your house, do you back up into your driveway? No, you drive into your driveway, right? You do the opposite steps. It's the same steps, they're just done in the opposite motions. It's the same thing as this. Okay? Okay, so first thing we're going to do is condense. Okay, so condensing, I'm going to give you a little hint. When you are condensing, start with power property. Always start with the power property. Always start with the power property. Okay, when you're condensing. When you're expanding, you finish with the power property. Just like when you're driving to school, the first thing you do is back up out of your driveway, right? When you're driving home, the last thing you do is drive into your driveway. It's the same thing. It's the same thing. You're doing the same steps, you're just doing in reverse order. Okay? So condense. So we're going to start with power property. So the first thing we got to do. So let's look at 2A. Okay? Bobby, have your focus up here. Okay? I'm over here right now. I'm on the condensation side, the condensing side, the right side. There is no multiplication. There is no division. There is no powers on the right side. So when do I know I have powers? How do I know I have powers? How do I know I have powers if I have any powers if I'm over here? If I'm over here, because if I'm over here, I have power. Oh, you got a power, right? But I'm not on that side. I'm on the other side, right? I'm on this side over here, right? If you're in class, you can see the purple line, the dotted purple line. I'm on the right side of the dotted purple line. How do I know if I have powers? There you go, right? The n is in front, right? So now let's look at 2a. Are there any numbers in front of the log, or any numbers or letters or anything? Z, yep. Z is in front. That tells me it's a power. So I'm going to start right there. So what am I going to do with it? I'm going to move it to a power position where it's supposed to be. I'm just moving it. I'm not distributing it. Some people think that's distributed. No, that's not distributed property. That's just moving it. Okay. So now this is what I have. So now I have log of b plus log of d to the z power. That's what I have right now. That was the only thing in front of the logs. Okay, so now I'm done with power property. Now let me move up. Is there any subtraction here? Nope. Is there addition? Yeah, there is. There's addition here, right? I'm adding these two logs together. I'm adding these two logs together. I'm adding this guy and this guy together. Well, to condense them, I'm going to combine them. So I'm only going to have one log. And instead of addition, I'm going to have multiplication. Done. Now I'm on the other side. Now I'm on the left side, the expanded side, or sorry, the condensed side. I only have one log. I started with 2. I only have 1 now. Okay. All right. Am I competing with your phone, Bobby? I shouldn't have to compete with your phone. Okay.
Wait, was the exponent 2 on like Quotient A?
Nope. It was Z. The same one as the one you have on yours. Okay. All right. So now I got to do the same thing over here. When you condense powers, right? So do I have any powers? Where do they go to? I'm going to have a power here, right? What's the power? 5. I got to move it over here. So I'm going to take this power and I'm going to move it up there. So now it's log k to the 5th minus log q. Yep. And then the next thing to look at for is the plus or minus. We have a minus this time, so that means division instead of multiplication. So I'm going to combine the logs. I only need one log. And I'm going to combine them. K to the 5th goes on top. Q goes on the bottom. Done. They're combined, condensed. Condensed means packed together. Expand means widen. We're not expanding right now. We'll expand later. Okay, all right, I want you to do C right now. I'll give you 1 minute to do C. Okay, so I have a power, 7. Gone. Don't need it there anymore, it moved. It's still there, it just moved. Okay, so now I have log of A minus log of B to the 7th power. Okay, so now I have subtraction again. So to combine those, I use division. Okay, done. Okay, so the only other problems on here are expanding now. Go in the opposite direction. Go in the opposite direction, so expanding. So with condensing, we started with the power property. Well, with expanding, if it's the opposite direction, we're not going to start. We're going to finish with power property. Do that one last. Finish. Finish with power property. We're not going to start with power property. We're going to finish with it. Okay? So if we finish with power property, that means we got to start with the other two. So how do we know if we're going to use product or quotient? Like for A, 3A. How do we know if we use product or quotient? That's power. Exponent power. We'll do that last, right? So how do we know if we're going to use power or quotient? We're over here right now, right? We're on this side. We're on this side. We're on this side. Okay? We're over here. So we start on the left side and we go to the right. So we look for multiplication. We look for division. Well, which one do I have? I have multiplication. How do I know I have multiplication? There's no division. I don't see any division, but how do, yeah, you're right. There is no division. I don't see any division. How do I know I have product? What about the X? You're close. You're close. How do I know I have product property? I know I have power, right? I have a power here. Not the exponent, that's power. How do I know I have product property? I already know I have power. Anytime a number and a letter are stuck together, which operation is that? Multiplication, yeah. So 5 times x to the 4th. So I know I have product property and I have a power. Well, I just said we don't start with power, we finish with power. So the only other thing to do is product. So product property says to split up 5 and x to the 4th is by giving them each of a log and a plus sign in the middle. That's what I'm going to do. So 5 gets a log, x to the 4th gets a log, and they get a plus in the middle. Okay? There's no more multiplication now. The only other multiplication is exponents. That's a different property. So now what am I going to do with the exponent? What do I have to? There you go. So be careful when you put it in front, you don't put it all the way in the front. It doesn't go all the way. It just goes in front of the log it's in front its width. So it's just going to go right here. So it's going to be log, oops, plus 4 log x. We don't need the power anymore because it moved. It moved to the front. The x to the 4th power wasn't with the 5. So I'll see this. I know I'll see this tomorrow. I'll have some people put the 4 over here too. And they're like, "What? Delta Math said I did something wrong." Yeah, because it's not with the 4 is not with the 5. It's only with the x. Okay. Okay, last one in the notes. And then we'll do a couple practice problems and we'll be done. This guy over here, I'm on the left side now. I'm on the left side. I'm on the condensed side. So I'm trying to see what I have. Do I have product? Do I have quotient? Do I have power? What do I have here? Quotient. I do have quotient. Okay, thank you. So I do have quotient. Yep, because I have division right there. That's good. What else do I have? Exponents. I have power, right? I also have power. I have 2 of them. That guy and that guy there. Okay. So I told you guys earlier that we finish with power property. So that means we're going to start with quotient. So quotient says give them each a log, give x to the 3rd a log, and give y squared a log. And then in the middle, put a subtraction sign. Okay. Now I can do power because I finished this. That's my last step. My last step is the power now. So I move the 2 and 3 in front, and I got 3 log of x minus 2 log of y. Okay, that's expanded as far as it can be expanded. Okay. All right, I'm going to give you I'm going to give you 2 condensed problems. I'm going to give you 2 expanded problems. Okay, so if you're in the back, grab some tape so you can tape these in, and then we're going to do a couple more problems in your notes. Okay. So once you're done with the tape, pass it forward so everyone can have some tape. Okay. Okay, so as the tape comes, here's question C. Do question C. So you're condensing this one. This one's a condensing problem. The bases are both B. The bases for the questions we did earlier were 10. As long as the bases are the same, you can use these properties. So the base is B here. That's all. It's just a B. Instead of writing base, they just put B. Okay? So the bases are B's. Okay, I'll give you 1 minute to do that one and we'll do it together. Okay, so we got to start. We're starting on the expanded side. We got to go left. So we're over here and we got to go this way. Our finished answer can only have 1 log. This has 2 logs. So that's why we know it's not finished. So we start with condensing. We start with power. We start with power. So do we have any powers here that need to be moved? Do we have any powers here that need to be moved? We do, right? We have this 2 in front, right? It needs to be moved up here so it's squared. So when it moves, It's there, right? So now I have log base b 6 squared minus log base b of 6. Okay. No more powers. I move the power. Done. Now I look to see what else do I have. Do I have an addition? Do I have subtraction? I have subtraction. So the way to put these two guys together is by division. 6 squared divided by 6. Well, these are numbers, right? In the notes earlier, they were letters. We couldn't multiply. We couldn't divide, right? They were like guys like this, right? B times D, K divided by Q, A divided by B, right? We couldn't divide them. These we actually can. They're regular numbers. So anytime you can, actually do it. So 6 times 6, 6 squared is 36 divided by 6. And then 6 goes into 36 6 times. If you can do that, do that. If you can't, don't do it. Okay? Mm-hmm. Oh, sorry. Yep. You're right. I need to. Yep. Thank you. Always put B in there. Yeah, for sure. All right. Okay, so number 2, or letter D. Here, try this one. Condense. It's still a condense. Still a condense. Okay. Still a condensing. Okay, so since we're condensing, always start with power. Always start with the power property. Well, we have power here because it's in front. So we need to move it. We need to move it up here. That's the first thing we're going to do. The other one doesn't have a power. The other log doesn't have a power in front. There's nothing in the front here. So we don't have to move anything. Okay. So now we have log base B. What is 2 to the third power? Is that a number that I can calculate in my calculator in my head? What is 2 times itself 3 times? 8. So if I can do that, do that. If you can't, leave it as 2 to the third, or whatever power to the third. Okay. Done with that. So now I can combine them using multiplication, product property. So instead of addition, I'm going to combine them. 1 log, 1 base B, 8 times 10. 8 times 10 is 80. Done. Okay. All right, so now I'm going to give you 2 problems. Last thing we're going to do. 2 problems going the other way. So now you're going to start like this and have to work your way to that. Okay, you go in the opposite direction now. So these are expand now. Expand. Okay, so letter E First expand, log x to the fifth, y to the third. X to the fifth, y to the third. Okay, so when you're expanding, we do powers last. It's important to note the powers. I'm going to circle the powers because I know I got to move them, but I'm not going to do that till the end. So I finish with power, but what other properties am I going to have to use? Product or quotient? Product, because these two are multiplied together. Multiplication is product. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is separate them with a plus sign in the middle. Give each one a log. Okay. Then I do powers. Now the last thing I'm going to do is powers. Move this guy to the front. Move this guy to the front. I have 5 log of x plus 3 log of y. Done. Okay. All right, one more, we're done. One more, we're done. Same thing, expand. Expand this one. Okay, letter F. Do letter F. We'll go over it, and then we're done.